Hey guys, Happy New Year. I thought we would kick off 2018 right with a bit of a book chat. It's kind of been ages, not gonna lie. I have a whole list in ye old bullet journal of book chat ideas I want to do, and just it never happens. But today we're going to do a bit of a book chat, and one that's kind of a little bit different because it's going to be some tips, which I don't think is something I've ever done on this channel. So yeah, now that we're all in resolution mode, we're all filled with that fervor of gonna get things done, gonna do it right this year, I thought I would share some of my tips to accomplish those reading resolutions that you may have set yourself. So, in said bullet journal, I sat down and thought of 5 tips from me to you on things that I think will help you accomplish your goals this year. And as always, I'm sorry for the very shaky camera, because not only is there a cat who likes to shake things, but it's also the most precariously that I've ever had my tripod perched. So I'm sitting right in front of my window, trying to get what winter light I can, so gotta do what you gotta do. So, sorry, but getting right into my tips. First, and perhaps the biggest, is building a routine. I know it seems simple, and I know a lot of people don't like the idea of routine. They want things to be spontaneous and on the fly. They like to read based on mood, and I get that. But the thing is, if you don't have the habit, you won't do it. You just won't. You need to get in some kind of routine that's going to make reading feel like it's a part of your day, and that if you miss it, something is missing, because otherwise you're not going to hit those goals. So for me, I like to make sure that I read every night before bed, even if it's only a tiny bit, which means I have to kind of set myself up for success. So I make sure my Kindle is charged when it's working, because it's kind of not liking me very much right now, but charge the Kindle, stock some books on the phone, have a stack of books and a book light or a lamp or whatever it is that you need within easy reach, so that when your head hits that pillow and you haven't read, you're like, it's not going to be too easy to just write it off. You've got everything right there for you, and you can just say, yeah, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll read 5-10 pages. I can do that. I need to try to stock my phone with some better reading options, because what happens a lot of times with me is I don't want to get up to have to turn the light off again, so I figure I'll just read something on my phone, and that just normally ends up being a comic from Hoopla. I probably need to invest in a good book light so that it's not always Hoopla. It's not always Saga or Fables. But even if it's Saga and Fables, I get that reading in. My second tip is kind of a contradiction from the first, and that's change it up. So yeah, you want to build that routine, you want to build that habit, you want to make it feel like second nature, like you should always have a book in your hands, but you don't want to read yourself into a rut. So reassess every now and then, look at your routine, see what's working and what's not, and change it if you need to. Give yourself some built-in cheat days where you don't have to read, or you can read just absolute junk. Learn to juggle books if you need to, so that you're reading more than one thing at a time, so that you've got variety. Whatever you need to do to keep it fresh and to keep it from feeling like work, because obviously reading is for enjoyment, and you don't want to hit the goal just to hit the goal and dread every bit of it. Reading more is a great resolution. It's not like giving up chocolate. So you should like it, and if it starts to feel like drudgery, not only are you going to fail your goal, but you're going to lose out on something that you actually really like. So try to keep things fresh, even within your routine that you're building, whatever ways you need to. Just kind of take those few moments every now and then to stop and to just think about it and say, okay, well, what could I be doing differently? What am I craving? What do I want to do? Do I want to have a structured TBR for a month and see how that works? Or do I want to give up having TBRs for a month and just read whatever the hell I want to? Just kind of give yourself little breaks every now and then built into your routine, because it's going to keep it a lot more fresh and enjoyable and give you those boosts that you need to keep you going, so that you don't start getting bogged down and reading the same book for 2.5 months because you just don't feel like picking it up. one of the ways to keep it fresh is actually my third tip, and that is to get social. So I think chatting about books, asking people what they like, and talking about what you like, following book tags on Instagram and Twitter, and just kind of seeing what the buzz is about or what other people are doing and reading and enjoying, it makes it more exciting for you. It feels like more of a community. Reading can be such a solitary thing, and that's one of the joys of it, is that it's this designated you time where you can just kind of zone out from the rest of the world and just be you in a book. But at the same time, that can feel very insular, and if you're struggling to stay motivated or you feel like you're losing your passion or anything like that, seeing other people's enthusiasm and enjoyment, I think, can often inspire enthusiasm and enjoyment in yourself. It's contagious, it's infectious, and also being able to stop and vent to people every now and then gets it out, and it clears the way for, you know, the good things that are to come. So if you've been bogged down by some books, or you've started noticing trends that are irritating you, hop on Twitter and start talking about them, and just kind of venting and letting it out, getting it out of your system, and then moving on to something good. Just getting social with it across the board, I think, is a really great way to keep your momentum and to hit those goals, because it keeps things sort of grounded in reality and not just in your head. And on that note, that brings me to my fourth tip, which is keeping yourself accountable, and social media is a great way to do that. Now, you don't have to use social media to do this, but it gives you some outside influences to help keep you accountable if you're not so great at keeping yourself accountable. So what I mean by this is you've set your goal, you have your intention, you need to state it to the world. Now, if you're not a social person or you just don't do social media, that's fine. You could state your intention like an affirmation every day if you wanted to. You can write it down on a piece of paper and post it on your wall where you're going to see it every day. Just something so that you've got that goal, you've put it out into the world, so it's not just in your head, where you can kind of revise it as you go and say, you know, I'm going to read 4 books a month. And then when the month starts going by and you've only read 2, you think, well, 3 is a good goal. And then the next month, when you're still only on about 2.5 and the month's coming to a close, you're like, you know, 2 books is great. That's great. And it is fine to self-revise goals if you realize that they're just not attainable. But the thing is, if you have put it out there into the world, you're much more likely to stick to it, because it feels concrete. You've breathed it into existence, rather than it just being in your head, and if you give up on it, no one's going to know but you. And while you may not want to put a lot of pressure on yourself, and I don't think you have to put a lot of pressure on yourself, just having that stated intention and acknowledging your goal in any kind of meaningful way, it makes it so much more likely that you're going to succeed. And if the way you state that intention is on social media, you will have a built-in audience of people that are potentially going to help you keep yourself accountable. Encourage people to ask you how you're doing, what you're reading lately, how far along have you come on your goal. Recruit people to be your cheerleaders. Even, it doesn't have to be social media, like actual humans in your life work too. Just anything that's going to help keep you on track outside of just your brain. It's really easy to just ignore your brain, especially when you don't want to do something. And my 5th tip relates back to the 4th, and that is, don't be too hard on yourself. I know you want to keep yourself accountable, I know you want to hit that goal, and I'm telling you, don't keep revising it down, but remember that life does happen, and also that not only do you sometimes bite off more than you could chew, but you might just decide that it's not the right goal for you. You might hit March and be like, you know, this has been great, but I think I actually want this to be more of the goal. It's okay to revise it. Just like I said in those first 2 tips about building your routine but then reassessing it, it's okay to also reassess the goal. Now, you don't want to keep moving the goalposts closer and closer, but thoughtfully and mindfully changing and adjusting your goals, not only for success, but for your own happiness, that's fine. And you should allow yourself to if you need to. You should also, say you've given yourself the goal of reading daily and you miss a few days, set those aside, they happened, bounce back from it. But don't keep punishing yourself that you broke your a 110-day streak. Yeah, that sucks, but okay, tomorrow is day 1 of the next 110-day streak, and this time we're aiming for 111. The more pressure you put on yourself and the more guilt you put on yourself, the less enjoyable the whole thing becomes, and then you're setting yourself up for a much higher chance of failure. So give yourself a little bit of a break. You're taking on a goal. It's gonna take time to build those habits and reach your goals, and sometimes those goals do change, either out of necessity or just because you've decided it's the right thing. That's fine. Do what works for you and let it work so that you can actually achieve something. So those are my 5 tips on how to hit some of those reading resolution goals that you've set. Before I let you go, though, I do have a bonus tip, and this one kind of encompasses everything, and it's about building a vibe. I really think that taking a little bit of time to think about the feeling of reading can really help you be successful. And what I mean by building a vibe is that you want to make it the most inviting act that you can. You want it to be restorative and peaceful when you need it to be, and exciting when you need it to be, and whatever's going to help you kind of get there. Occasionally run yourself a bubble bath and light some candles and settle in with a book and just soak in the vibe of it and the enjoyment and the luxury of reading. One of my favorite things to do is to head outside with a book. The first nice days that come to Michigan, I guarantee you will find me outside, somewhere in my yard or at the beach, book in hand, listening to the leaves and the trees rustle and the birds and the squirrels chatter, and being climbed on by my cat because he loves it when I'm in one of the chairs outside. And I'll just read as long as I can, and I'll stop every now and then and just feel the sun on my face and feel the breeze ruffle my hair and just kind of soak in the world around me and then dive back into the book. Not only does it give you a nice break so that you're better able to absorb and kind of keep going and keep that stamina, but it makes it a sensory experience that is just more enjoyable. And when you have that, you're going to crave it. You're going to want to do it more. So the next nice day, you're going to be like, yeah, that was excellent. I'm heading outside again. Just embrace the hygge of it all. Whatever is going to help you feel just completely immersed and comfy, cozy, and enjoying reading on even more levels with even more senses. The whole thing's just going to be more enjoyable, and you're going to want to do it more. So it's kind of a great bonus tip that it encompasses everything, and it just will make you happier and calmer potentially. So build your vibe. Think about what you're needing at the moment and treat yourself with it. Make reading a little bit of a self-care pampering thing. So those are my tips for how to hit those reading resolution goals this year. Feel free to share your goals and your own tips in the comments, because I would love to hear them, and that's part of that whole Get Social thing. It might encourage others and help you keep yourself accountable. But that is all for this book chat. Happy New Year. I hope you have a lovely year of books ahead of you. And until the next video, that's all for now. Thanks for watching and happy reading. Kimba, can you stop it, please? Why do you do this? Why do you do it? Why do you climb it when you know you get stuck? Thank you. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. I just love him. Kimba is literally licking cardboard right now.